Cool. Let's drink some rye. So we got 3 bottles, 3 barrels from Nashville Barrel Co. I'll try and keep these quick. So normally there is 6 to 8 month wait for these, or so I'm told. However, we got into a good conversation about our bourbon. Some people are interested. And Mike at Nashville Barrel Co. said, why don't you guys do one? But I'm going to need to hear from you quick, which is why I received the barrels yesterday. And we're tasting them tonight, so I can give them a decision tonight. We'll see if they're good. These are the first cracks. Hey, Lane, good to see you. Yeah, this would be kind of crazy. It's been a long time since I've tasted a barrel live. I'll probably do a few more of these. I got some Starlight to do. What else? You guys will hear it first. I think we're gonna get a little Four Roses. That should be fun. Four Roses is pretty big for the sub. Got some High West coming in. Oh, and cool. Everyone be blowing up my phone here, but yeah, let's talk. So this is an 8-year MGP rye, barrel proof, sourced from MGP by Nashville Barrel Co. It's been hanging out. They're finishing the aging in their warehouse. I'm kind of getting set here after a fun night of weekly whiskey, but let's taste some whiskey. If you guys have questions at any point too, feel free to just drop them in the chat. The Smooth Ambler is moving, so hopefully we can avoid those. There's great length of questions on our bourbon about those tonight. Yeah, I've been considering some Driftless Glen. I think Blake and I will probably get up there in the next couple of months. They've been pretty busy. I just picked up their port finished bourbon, which is really pretty good. I picked up their Barrel Proof Rye, which is I think about 5 years now, which is really, really impressive. It's not as good as the Jack Daniels. Great question. It's not as good as the Jack Daniels Barrel Proof, but I'm not sure I super expect that. Chat here. Let's see. Cool. So I'll take the report. John was going to join me. We just wrapped up with a fun bird dog guy. He was pretty chatty, so we might see John. We might not. But yeah, let's talk whiskey. So this is Nashville Barrel Co. I have all 3 of these are 8 years. One of them is 109 proof. The other 2 are, let's see. The other 2 are 110 proof. So pretty modest, pretty hefty for the age. They're not like they're not going to come out hazmat. They're going to come out $99 a bottle, which I think works out pretty well. Let's see, get these glasses going. Yeah, I'll do some more remote like this. It's kind of fun. I usually don't get to see you all, but let's talk about some whiskey. So barrel 39, barrel 29, barrel 33. Not that means a whole ton to us. Yes, they buy it aged from MGP, and then they finish it off in Tennessee, which isn't so bad. The climates are extremely similar. They have very similar ricking, maybe a little bit more, but it shouldn't be too bad. It's not like a Smoke Wagon ages them for much longer on premises. This is kind of just they buy them and wait for them to get bottled. Yeah, those 15-year Whistler Pigs are fucking insane value, and we're kind of seeing the decline. I don't think we're gonna get it too many more of that age. Certainly none of the 17s. Tasting the first sample here, I've deliberately kind of been light. I had 1 pour of Barrel Dovetail during our stream earlier, just kind of warming up. Nothing too crazy. This is at 61%, so a little bit higher than these, but it hasn't been a big night of reviews or anything by any stretch. So let's dive into it. I think I'll probably try and keep this to about a half an hour unless we need more time. I'll take questions. This is MGP rye again, so I expect that there'll be. Yeah, I've been drinking a lot of Alberta rye lately, but doing a lot of selections from some other places with other sources. But this is the 8-year, 110 proof barrel 39. Yeah, I would have to assume the same. It's 95%, if I had to guess. I like doing these as kind of blind as I can. They put a lot of info on the samples, so it's kind of hard to be like truly blind, but wow. Okay. So I should have bribed one of you guys to take notes for this. That would have been really handy. But I'll watch back and I'll write them down. So sample 1, really bright on the nose. I say bright in like a fruity. It's fruity, it's effervescent. There's pine. There is some of that MGP spice, clove. Not a lot of dill. I wouldn't say any dill at all. Maybe lightly minty. There's a little bit of pepper on the nose, so it's pretty fruit forward. It's pretty spice forward. There's a tiny bit of that spearmint quality to it. The let's see. The proof is a little bit on the low side from the nose, so it definitely doesn't hit you hot. It's definitely not like a really powerful punishing rye on the nose. Sample 2. Sample 2 seems to have a little bit more brown sugar here. This one's a little woodier too. This is barrel 29. It's actually 1 proof point lower, 109 proof. It's a little bit woodier, a little more pepper, a little more clove, actually some tobacco. A little bit of orange peel, which is kind of nice. So it is very different from the first sample here. But it's nice. There is a little bit of that mintiness to it, a little bit of that MGP. I won't say spearmint dill, because that I noticed is much lower proof stuff like the old Smooth Ambler 7 years. This doesn't remind me of Alberta, which is kind of cakey, kind of toffee forward, kind of orange peel. Nice pepper, nice tobacco, like really musty tobacco. Reminds me kind of one of those, like if anyone's had the old Wild Turkey Christmas rye, kind of that musty, funky rye character. You'd think it was a lot older than 8 years, but it's not. Let's see. I'm on the nose for sample 3. This one's interesting. This is probably the spiciest of the 3. It reminds me of gumdrops. It reminds me of spearmint. It reminds me of like pine and cedar. Maybe a light bubble gum. It's really, really fascinating. Okay. So working through the nose, this one's really interesting. I haven't had many rye that remind me of bubble gum, which is kind of fascinating. There's some bourbons, you get that isoamyl acetate, some of those other flavors, some of those funky kind of esters, but this one does remind me a lot of brown sugar and bubble gum, which is kind of an interesting combination. I don't know if it's my favorite, but we'll come back to it. Switching back, I probably should have zoomed this out a little bit. It'd be easier to kind of like prop these up, but back to sample 1. We'll go through the palate a little bit. Okay, so the proof is definitely there. This reminds me a lot of an Alberta rye. Orange jam, really rich on the palate, really, really rich despite the lower proof. Pepper, orange peel, a light spearmint, a little bit of brown butter, some caramel. It's I won't say it's hot, but like the proof is a little bit up, which is kind of nice. Like this is not gonna fool you as some Baby Saz 6-year 90 proof rye. That's really nice. This is yeah, great comment from Lane, the high ester rum reunion. Oh, look who's joining me. Hey, John.
Hello, my friend.
How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Oh, I see we went with the Mellow background or the Maze Monday background.
Dude, switch it up. So John and I, for context, we wrapped up Weekly Whiskey. And it was 8:59 my time. And I was like, shit, dude, like I need a drink and I need to use the bathroom and I need to be back here in 45 seconds. So I picked a
lot of things to do in a little time.
Yeah, I might switch up the brand a little bit. Let's see what we got here. But John is gonna help me out here. Let's see. We got
yeah, I can handle production for you while you do your tasting here. That's the agave.
Yeah, agave doesn't fit. Why don't you hit it? You're in the broadcast studio, right?
All right. You get your stuff board. You want to go through that? And have you started tasting yet?
Yes,
Sorry
I
for
have.
diving in late and like stealing the show here.
Dude, it is good. So I have all 3 samples poured. I've gone through the background. We hit the nose. I just started tasting out a little bit of sample 1, which I like.
Let's go with it. I'll put on the New Year's theme just to sort of give us a mellow backdrop here. How's that?
Okay. We'll get those badges up. We should be good to go.
Yeah, I got you.
Let's
I got
see.
you.
This will be good. I was saying I need someone to be like a note taker. I need someone to like pull my brain a little bit.
Yeah, see, what I was thinking I could do for you is as you go through these, I can kind of, Sherpa you through your selection journey via the chat. How does that sound?
Dude, you need to make that Instagram right now. You need to be the Bourbon Sherpa.
I think that exists already. You
Does
know
it?
who is? It's Eric Carrico, I think, has that. He's like a Airbnb monster. He's got like all the best shit going for Airbnbs around the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. Agave background. We can't do the agave background right now. I'm just gonna get a little whistle missile here.
Yeah, the Bourbon Sherpa. So you're drinking one of the previous our bourbon picks, the whistle missile, right?
Correct.
That was
the whistle missile. Can't go wrong with the whistle missile.
That was so good.
Oh, I'm gonna put that back up on display here.
I like it. Okay.
So you're on sample 1 of 3?
Yeah, so I went through the noses a little bit. I was actually pretty surprised. There's a lot of diversity here. Sample 1 was a little bit on the minty, herbal, orangey side. Sample 2 was like really brown sugar heavy, really brown butter, toffee, like tobacco, old, musty, dusty. And 3 was funky and strange. It was like a orange peel, bubble gum, and like toffee, which is like kind of, especially for MGP.
Right. So like we're going 3 totally different directions.
At least on the nose. Yeah.
Okay.
So I started tasting 1 for the proof on each of these is either 110 or 109. So there's 2 samples, 1 and 3 are 110 proof. Sample 2 is 109 proof. So they're not wildly different. They're not super high, but the mouthfeel on 1 was like so incredibly rich with a lot of nice
that's what
oak
gets
to
me with MGP stuff, man. You can get some of those with the mouthfeel that dials it up to 11 and it changes everything about the experience too, because then that finish just sticks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's exactly what this is like. It's kind of the difference between having like froyo and like custard. Like custard is just like
a homemade rich. Yes. I'm with you.
So I'm really curious to try number 2 because on the nose, 2 reminded me of some recent vintages of Thomas Handy, which is kind of strange, but I haven't had MGP that's so cakey and brown sugary and like tobacco. I don't know if you've had Wild Turkey Kentucky or Christmas Rye, like that old dusty rye release.
Oh boy, that's so good.
Really,
the fact that you even mention that in the same sentence makes me really want to pressure you, but I'll remain as neutral as I can here. So you'd say, of what you're going through now on number 2, you'd call this one the richest, maybe?
I would say the richest in like a traditional dusty
Darker way.
dessert direction.
Okay.
Like 2 is pure dessert. 1 is kind of a blend of like herbal and spice, and 3 is really fruity and like it's
weird.
The bubble gum is weird. The bubble gum is really strange to me.
Okay.
So let's see. I have 2, which comes from Barrel 29, which should mean just about nothing to anybody I would expect.
Means sweet fuck all to the rest of us.
Yeah. All right. So 2, that nose persists really well, which is nice.
And these are all 95.5 mash bills?
Yes.
And they're all minimum 8-year, correct?
Yep. Every single one is at least 8 years. 95.5 MGP source.
They're all roughly 109, 110, you said?
Yeah. One of them is 109 proof. The other 2 are 110. So pretty...
I'm just going to call them 55%.
Yeah, pretty homogenous.
Okay.
Let's see. So this is sample 2 on the... Go ahead.
Going into 2, okay.
Going into 2... Man. Okay, so this one is Number 2 is a little bit lighter on the palate, not less rich, but the ethanol is a little bit more masked. Like it's still very rich. It's very chewy, very viscous. It doesn't hit the back of your tongue. It doesn't hit the side of your cheeks with that big tingle, which is kind of nice. There's a plum note. There's a raisin bread. There's an old tobacco. There's a little bit of pepper. This one doesn't have any of that MGP. Are you one of those spearmint dill from MGP flavor note guys?
I am not. No, I mean, sometimes I catch the mint, but I don't usually read it as dill.
Okay.
Or
I know, like,
dilly, as the kids say.
There's like a big, like, either it's kind of like cilantro, it's kind of like dill, it's kind of like spearmint.
Like that herbal green.
Yeah. This reminds me, you remember when we did that segment, we did it with Dan K, and he had that like s'more syrup for cocktails that like give you that really viscous, really like punchy, brown sugary old fashioned. This reminds me of like a really well made old fashioned without the orange though.
Okay.
Kind of some cherry. Interesting.
Darker fruits overall.
Yeah, this one's like dark, musty, desserty, savory, which is it's kind of up my alley, not gonna lie.
I'm glad you said that because it's absolutely up my alley.
Especially after the whistle missile, which is kind of like pancake syrup and like herbal. Like that one's kind of peppery.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of good pepper in the background on that. There's like right up front is that like a whole wave of fruit, but then you're right, it does have that whole pancake syrup type of thing going on the background, which I think is why I really dig it, because it's just like you kind of get to go between sweet and spicy, and then hang out in. I mean, obviously, it's got a ton of age on it too, so you get some of that barrel character, you get some of the richness.
Boy, that was a terrible noise.
Wow,
sorry.
that was aggressive. It's just our soundboard. We've got chickens on the soundboard tonight.
We've got the upland grouse. It turns out you got to oil the mic arm sometimes.
Yep, you got to spray it with weasel piss.
Fucking A. That's not what I wanted to think about going into sample 3. But on that note, yeah, sample 3. So this was the funkiest on the nose. It's like bubblegum and orange peel. It's a weird profile. I don't not like it, but it's like incredibly unique. Okay, so
on the nose, we're going with number 3 here. Is a funky, sort of strange orange peel, bubblegum type of vibe on the nose. Curious first on the mouthfeel and where you land with that. And then let's dive into some of the palate notes.
Okay, so 3 is hot. 3 is really hot. It's not punishing, but unlike sample 1, which had a nice tingle to it, like kind of like that tells you, hey, there's some ethanol here, but don't worry about it. Sample 2 was really restraining ethanol. 3 is hot. It's hot on the back of your throat. It's hot in your tongue. The bubble gum. No, I'd say all 3 of these have been pretty rich on the palate. 2 is the richest by far so far, but like 3 is not thin. It has some nice syrupy quality to it. It kind of rests on the palate, but there's that bubblegum, orange peel, kind of like a lemon. Like this one is extremely fruity in a fun way, but very, I don't know. It'd be hard to peg this as rye until you get to the finish. Like the finish really cements that this is rye. It's kind of all over the place on the palate.
Does it come through with spice on the end there, or is it just like an evident rye profile?
No, it comes through with brown sugar, clove, a little bit of pecan, a little bit of pepper on like right in the back of your throat, like immediately. It's very pronounced.
Okay.
Which is
that's
good.
That 95 really kind of showing off there at the end.
It's by far the punchiest so far, and maybe it's just because like maybe there's a little bit of selection bias, a little bit of contrast from the palate because the palate's so fruity, but then the back palate and the finish are like really punchy, spicy. It's interesting. It's kind of disjointed, but I'm looking forward to kind of comparing.
Have to be bad, right?
Yeah.
Let's go with a new background here. Boom. Okay.
It is kind of nice though. Sometimes I worry that, places were going to give you 3 incredibly similar barrels, and they're kind of like, picking straws or kind of grasping for differences, but really differently. Yeah, it reminds me of the Christmas rye, which I don't like. I have not had in a while, so it's like a really striking resemblance. In fact, I don't even have a bottle here. It just popped into my head. I wish I had a bottle, but
well, if that's what jumped into your head when you're sipping that, though, I think
it's a good sign.
You're good. Yeah, great sign.
All right. So I'm back to sample 1. This is 8-year, 110 proof barrel 39.
Sample 1. How are you now?
Like Murray. How are you now? Couldn't you? Not so bad.
What are you using for glassware tonight, by the way? You were using the Riedels?
These are the Louis sneeze noise. I don't recall. I'll find the link. They're admittedly my Riedel performance are dirty, and I couldn't find Glencairns that weren't branded.
Okay.
And it felt kind of dirty to like drink Nashville Barrel Co. out of like a Rabbit Hole or a Jack Daniels or a Woodford Glencairn.
Fair enough. I just wanted to know, just for reference.
Yeah, I'll find the link. I'll post it when I post the notes. But I really like these. It's kind of just like a Glencairn with a little stem, but they are heavy. They have a nice swirl to them. They're pretty cheap too. I think it was maybe $30-$40 for 6 of them, so pretty well priced.
Oh yeah, that's really well priced.
And they're solid. I dropped 1 or 2 already, and they just bounced right back up.
Bouncy glasses. You heard it here first, people.
It's like a Robin Williams flubber, but in the
these glasses bounce. I gotta get a soundboard for shit like this.
Yeah, you gotta get one of those little ad lib. All right, so the finish on 1 kind of rebounded a little bit. There's a lot of pine, a lot of brown sugar, a lot of toffee, a lot of clove, which is nice. It kind of reigns in that herbal element. It's pretty savory. It starts more floral. It starts a little more spicy. It starts a little more of that funky MGP kind of spearminty herbal notes, but it ends really nicely to a dessert finish, which is good. That I wasn't super into it on the nose, but it's really kind of clawing its way back. There's a lot of good character here.
It sounded to me from your initial notes to be the most on profile 95.5 8-year MGP.
Yes, this absolutely. I don't know if you've had any of the old Smooth Ambler, Old Scout, like the 8-9, 10-year, like gift shop ryes or their single barrel proof ryes.
I don't think I have.
This reminds me a lot of like a very, very classic MGP profile, which isn't bad.
No, totally not.
I won't say it's safe, but it's familiar.
All right.
So I'll move on to 2 here. This is back to 2. I'll be curious too. I'll probably, so I have to get a decision in probably by tonight or first thing in the morning, but I'll send you a little bit of each of these and we'll see if you think I'm crazy or not.
Yep. Reblind them though, so that I'm not drinking them as 1, 2, 3, right?
I'll blind them up.
Okay.
Which will be kind of fun.
Totally. I mean, as I'm sitting here typing up your notes on them, it'll probably be a little bit easier for me to pick out which is which, but it'll still be cool to experience each one, right?
Yeah, it'll be fun. At least I'll
and I can still pick a favorite out of them. I mean, even knowing which is which or not knowing them, I could tell you which one I think is my favorite, even after you pick number 2 tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So number 2, it's weird that we there we go. Number 2,
Did I use the holy moly branding, or is that? Oh no, I had to delete it.
Oh man, that would have been a good one.
That would have been. I don't know if we could have used it live though, because it most certainly would have infringed upon some copyrights.
Yeah, ABC would have come for us. Like Rob Riggle would have showed up to kick our ass.
Well, that alone might have made it worth it, really. Riggle is the new enforcer. He comes out here and throat punches each one of us live on a Tuesday night.
He'd giggle and then like kick us in the shin.
He would too.
Wow.
With
Okay.
his fucking golf pants. God, he's
You
so
see my
awesome.
pants? You see my pants?
Joe, did you see my pants?
If I was wearing pants, I'd get up and reenact it, but
Yeah, likewise.
nobody's paid for that performance.
No, best we don't get banned from YouTube tonight.
Okay, so the finish on number 2 is exactly not quite what I expected, but it's very close. It's very like pound cake, cake batter, musty tobacco, like a not an old sherry note, but kind of like it's like old and desserty. It's like musty old kind of oak tobacco. So kind of fitting with that Wild Turkey Christmas rye feel, which was just like a pungent fruit bread.
Yeah,
fruitcake of a rye note.
Fruitcake is exactly. I almost said it, but I was like, if I say it, then I'm going to be doing a little bit too much power suggestion. I'm supposed to be the Sherpa here, so I went back to Sherpin. But I'm glad you said it because I was thinking it.
Most totally Sherpa. Okay, so yeah, so 2 is clearly like the musty desserty of the 3. I'm really curious about.
Totally Sherp. Typing that up now. Sherp. I got it.
Sherping up.
Just Sherpa Derpa.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So the finish on 3 has calmed down a little bit. It's not quite as hot, but it's really fruity. It's like a white grape, kind of a peach, pepper. It's really herbal, like lots of spearmint. Lots of.
Okay, so you didn't catch that at all the first time around on 3.
Yeah, it's really developed well into being a spicy, fruity. Like the bubble gum is kind of resided, but like it's still there. The orange peels kind of died down a little bit. So this is like bubblegum, pepper, and spearmint are like kind of the big 3 notes.
Okay. Don't read the chat.
It's interesting. Okay, so like I kind of normally like if we have like a huge panel of samples, we'll knock one out. I think 3 is kind of clearly out for me here. Like 3 isn't bad, but it's like really strange in a way that I don't think it really jives with what our bourbon is going to want. It's good. Like this is one that I would try in a cocktail, maybe. Because like,
but if you can't see yourself, so like when I am like if you threw the final vote to me here, the way I'm going to approach it is, do I want to have a pour of this tonight, and then tomorrow night when I go back to the bar and I'm like, what do I want? If that's the first thing in my mind, that's the one I want to choose. Like that's my barrel choice, is the one that I want to have 2 nights in a row, because I'm a variety creature. Like it's pretty rare that I have more than one consecutive night of the same spirit or bottling or whatever. Like I'm almost always switching up, and when I have something twice in a row, it's because I really like it. If I have it 3 times in a row, I'm probably rating that an A- or higher.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at here. So I knocked out 3. This should be pretty straightforward, I think. I'll give each of these
So we're gonna go heads up on 1 and 2 now.
Yeah, heads up on 1 and 2. So barrel 29 versus 39. One is 109 proof, one's 110. So essentially the same. I could not tell one proof point blind if I tried, if my life was on it.
I don't suppose I could either, especially not in the same exact fucking distillate.
Yeah, maybe if they were different producers, but.
So you noted earlier that there was a bit of a tingle on number 1.
Yeah.
You didn't note that on 2. You specifically said that there was a very low punch on the proof.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking about ABV punch and drinkability and then overall profile.
Yeah, 1's kind of hot. It's a little bit hotter than I'd like for 110 proof.
Okay.
Yeah, 110 proof. It has really good flavor. Like this would punch well in a cocktail because it's drinking hotter than I think it should for 55%.
Right, which would, like you said, it would hold up great with some bitters, maybe a fortified wine or whatever you're going to use to build up that Manhattan.
Yes, exactly. The settling back on 2 here. Yeah, I think this is it. Wow. Yeah, there's a lot going on. This is still that brown sugar toffee, old tobacco, nice rye punch, but not too herbal. And it lands really nicely. The proof is very well behaved. It's very dialed in. I think this is a great rye.
Well, that is what we want.
Unfortunately, now I have to share it with people. Good question from Moz. Yeah, it kind of depends.
Gotcha.
It really depends on the day. I drink a lot of mezcal, so a lot of 43 to 45 to maybe 47% stuff.
Oh, some of those are so good though. I couldn't tell you the difference between a 40% to a 48% mezcal. I don't think, just because it's like the flavor variant, is just so crazy.
And even things like the Maguey's, like Araqueño or like Americano and stuff, have just so much flavor, because like we're used to ethanol being the flavor delivery mechanism in most whiskey, but some of those mezcals are just so pungent. So I'd say it really depends. Like the other night, I knew sitting down, the only thing I wanted to drink was Larceny Barrel Proof, and like that's exactly what happened. And some other nights, I wanted to drink Rye Espadine, which is 40% and totally delicious. So I think it kind of depends on what whiskey I'm targeting, but there's really no guarantee. And one of the things I do like about mezcal is that like it is much lower proof. I can have 5 really small pours of 5 different things and compare them, and I can still see afterwards. That doesn't really happen with things like 5 editions of Elijah Craig or like Barrel Proof or
True
Stag Junior. Like maybe 2 or 3, but things get blurry.
Get your face ripped off.
But yeah, I think that 2 here, without too much ado, is really the good choice. It's rye, like it's very clearly rye, but it has some really nice old toffee, dusty, funky tobacco notes. And like, I love that tobacco note in a rye, especially in a bourbon. I think it's going to be a good buy for 8 years and $99.
Cool.
Yum. Yeah, I'm going to just drink more at 2 here. We'll give it about another 10 minutes or so and we'll wrap up, do a little Q&A. But yeah, I think 2 is definitely the pick. I'll pass this on tonight. This is a 8-year 109 proof Barrel 29 is going to be our bourbon's selection from Nashville Barrel Co. and MGP Source Rye. This will be, it'll be the second rye. It'll be the second, first American rye, second rye of the program. I typically don't look for like off profile. Like I know it's very hot right now. I think it's fun to pick the bourbon or rye that I want to drink the most. And if it's off profile and I want to drink it the most, I think that's great. But I do know people who have like gone to places and picked like the funkiest, strangest, most off profile. And we're like, I probably would drink something else more, but like we wanted to get weird. And I don't think that represents our bourbon as a whole. I don't know, like if you've done much of that, John, but like I feel like picking something unique is fun, but picking something just for being the most off profile doesn't really do it for me. I want to pick something that people are like jazzed about. And if it's off profile and delicious, great. But if it's off profile and strange, kind of like this number 3, I don't think it's a great fit.
Yeah, actually some of the worst picks I've ever had have been things where they intentionally shoot for something that's very off, and it's like, yep, that does not taste like Old Weller Antique. You're right. And it's a damn shame you bought the whole barrel of it. I've had those before, and they can be just terrible. I mean, if you want to get something that's a little bit crazy, I think you could do a lot of damage in the Barrel portfolio. I mean, Barrel has like damn near anything you can imagine to finish a whiskey in. So if you want something that's like off a profile, like if you want a bourbon that's weird, or a rum, or an American whiskey, like whatever it is, you could get something that's going to be totally shifted into a different lane without being like, holy shit, this is like kind of gross.
That's a really good point. Like Barrel is doing wild stuff and none of it's bad. Like they're not doing weird and wild to be weird and wild. They're doing weird and wild because they like think it might work, and like it usually does. Like even the like those Riesling ones we had,
Man, those totally blew me away.
Like who's doing Riesling finished bourbon? But it worked. Like,
Not the most amazing whiskey I've had, but like I was like, oh yeah, okay, that sounds a little bit weird. So it sounds cool. And I opened the cabinet and I took one smell of one of those and I was like, I better try that first. That smells pretty cool. And then comparing the two of them together, I don't need to do it again. They're just like a totally different experience in whiskey. And every now and then, like you just run into stuff like that, like Dovetail. Like a total eye opener. Like, I don't know, it sounds kind of weird. It's like a rum finish. It's also, and there you go. It's like 3 different finishes all together. It's kind of crazy. And then you have a sip of it and it changes your, like, you just shift into a different lane instantly.
Sure.
Sometimes that stuff's great. But when you're selecting a single barrel of 95.5 rye, probably not the time for it.
Yeah, I think that this is hands down for me. One would have been a great backup. We'll probably take another barrel from them at some point, but number 2 is the one.
Obviously,
number 2 is the one for me. It's
on your notes alone. I would say 2 is where it's at.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple people in the chat that were like 2 ? But okay, 2 it is. This is I'll get this passed over. We'll see. I don't know what the bottling schedule was like, so it could be soon, could be not so soon. But the Elijah Craig is currently being sold. The first 252 lottery members were selected. When those run out,
did you say 252?
Dude, those barrels.
That's a serious barrel. Wow.
8.5 years. It's not going too crazy. It should be, yeah.
I guess not. Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, even New Riff is kind of going crazy, but yeah, it was V3, so it was lower to the ground, a little bit less evap. So those are running through. Smooth Ambler are finally being delivered. Thank God. I'm waiting. With the W last name, I'll probably get mine last, but that's how it should be. And I think there isn't too much other barrel news that we didn't cover in Weekly Whiskey, but we have, I think I'm sitting at 33 barrels for this year right now planned. So pretty big uptick. And we'll see if we can get
before I like start putting the screwdriver to them and be like, we need 3 more. We need 4 more.
That's before we show up and go, well, 2 of these were really good. So let me take 2 of these. Kind of like we did with Russell's.
Okay, no Los Dos, man.
Yeah, kind of like we did with Smooth Ambler. I expect it to happen. We'll be over 40. But
and
yeah,
Russell's.
So Elijah Craig, look probably end of this week, maybe early next week for the overflow. I'm going to get this guy ratcheted in. I think they move pretty quick. So it could be a lot of rye early because our Whistle Pig went super quick too. Like that thing happened right away. And yeah, 33 is kind of a few. Hopefully we'll get to 40.
I don't think we need to get married to a number just now. I mean, 33 might be the comfortable one, or we might accidentally buy 53. You never know.
Yeah. The key is, mostly I'd like to get to a point where most people get access, and we're getting pretty close. I know a couple of people have gotten 2, a couple of people have gotten none, but we'll figure it out as we go. That's kind of how it goes.
I dig it.
So cool. Well, John, I can't thank you enough for stepping in, being my scribe and or producer. This has been awesome. To sum up things, we did pick, let's see, where did it go?
Barrel 29.
Yep. Barrel 29 from Nashville Barrel Co. It's an 8-year MGP rye at 109 proof. And quite frankly, it's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to people getting access to this. This should yield just under 200 bottles, which is very healthy again, which is great. So lots of people should get an opportunity. Our Whistle Pig was pretty low yield, but aiming for some high yield stuff coming forward. And we'll get some good whiskey in your paws, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thank you again. We'll do another couple. I plan to live taste as many as possible, but in the meantime, check out Weekly Whiskey for some of the fun stuff we have going on. And John, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, man.
Absolutely, brother. Good job selecting what was obviously the best choice tonight.
Damn, I can't wait to go drink all but what I plan to send you from this because.
Yeah, you should probably get some mezcal going, dude. You're probably bored of rye.
I'll get some Eric Lanier though.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys Thursday for the after hours drop.
Yeah.
Cheers.